Am I the idiot for refusing to wear a wig to my friend's wedding? Just as a little background, I grew up in a very strict Christian family where I wasn't allowed to cut my hair ever, because hair is a woman's crown. It was down to my knees by the time I escaped at 18. Ever since then I've either had a pixie, a buzz cut, or have been totally bald, because I cannot stand the heavy feeling of long hair or all the brushing, washing, detangling after dealing with it for so many years. So that's a big reason I'm so stubborn about this issue. Also, all of my friends involved in this story have always known me as the girl with no hair. Right now I'm bald because I always shave my head completely for the summer. One of my good friends is getting married in August and she chose me to be one of her bridesmaids. Everything had been cool, she's always been the sweetest person and she showed no signs of going bridezilla before this, until she called me up about 3 weeks ago and asked me if I could do her a favor and wear a wig to her wedding. She explained that she wanted all of her bridesmaids to match and that she wanted us all to look good in the pictures. I told her I really didn't want to get a wig, and we've been on bad terms ever since. All of our friends are on her side because it's just a wig, and it's not like she's asking you to grow out your hair for the wedding, so she's not the one being unreasonable. And I know I can be very stubborn sometimes, which I guess is the reason I'm posting here. The thing is, I don't know how many of you will be aware of this, but a wig that will actually look good/realistic is expensive. I've already paid for a bridesmaid's dress, new shoes, and plane tickets, as well as a small deposit for the person who's going to do our makeup. This wedding has already cost me a fortune. I could afford a wig if I wanted to, but do I really want to spend the money on something I'll never wear again when I've already spent a ton? Not really. Also, this is going to be on a plantation in Louisiana. In August. I'm already going to be hot and uncomfortable, and a wig will make things 1,000 times worse. My biggest reason, and this is why my friends are saying I'm the asshole, is the principle of the thing. I feel like it implies I look bad because I don't have hair, which I personally don't think is true. Is being bald so hideous I'll ruin her pictures? Is she going to make her balding father wear a toupee? And I think the "I want us to match" thing is stupid. We're already wearing matching dresses, why isn't that enough? I know it's her day and we're supposed to make her happy, but isn't there a line? I've offered to wear a cute headscarf as a compromise if my bald head is that offensive, but she's not having it. I'm still in the bridal party and invited, but I don't know for how much longer, honestly. Edit, just to add 2 things. 1, she's not willing to pay or reimburse me for the wig, in part or in full too. Along with the headscarf, I'd also be willing to grow my hair out into a pixie cut. The wedding is at the beginning of August, so it'd still be really short though. Update. So first of all, thank you so much for your replies and advice. I'm writing an update post because things ended up working out well, and because I want people to see my friend isn't actually a horrible person like people were saying she was. I texted her asking if we could work things out over a phone call. We don't live in the same state, so our relationship is over phone and text. It turns out a lot of you were right, and my friend was being pressured to ask me to wear a wig. Her future mother-in-law found out about my shaved head and pitched a fit. Like I said in a comment, my friend can be a huge pushover, and this woman is apparently a nightmare. She's also paying for vast majority of the wedding, so my friend felt even more beholden to what she wanted. That's why she told me she couldn't pay for the wig. Mother-in-law refused to. Neither of them knew how expensive a good wig can be. My friend only found out when I told her over the phone. That's also why our dresses, shoes, and makeup weren't covered. It turns out my friend is mortified by what she sees as her mother-in-law making her look cheap and greedy, but she didn't want to tell us that because she's already embarrassed to be relying on her mother-in-law's money. Apparently it's her fiancé's family insisting on a huge extravagant wedding. That's why her reasons didn't ring true to me as well. She didn't want to hurt my feelings by telling me that her mother-in-law was being so judgmental of me, so she basically blurted out the first things that came into her head. She assured me she thinks I look great with short hair and apologized for making me think she thought I look bad. I know people will question how I can believe her, but I've been friends with her for nearly 10 years and I give her the benefit of the doubt. We've been there for each other through a lot and really care about one another. I'm still side-eyeing the plantation wedding, but I didn't tell her that because she seemed so stressed out by essentially being bullied by her fiancé's family. I didn't want to pile on. I do know for a fact that she only wanted that venue for the big oak trees all over the property, which are admittedly beautiful. I went to the plantation's website and they do acknowledge slavery's evils and even have a memorial to everyone who was enslaved there, so that makes me feel slightly better. I did tell her that asking me as a mixed girl to wear a blonde wig could be seen as racially insensitive, and I explained why. She was horrified and apologized over and over sincerely. She wants to stand out from her bridesmaids in pictures, and she didn't even consider the racial implications of asking me because most of her bridesmaids are blonde. She's kind of oblivious to things like that, so are a lot of people. But the few times I've had to point out something she said could be hurtful, she's always been understanding instead of defensive. I decided I'm going to grow out my hair as much as possible for the wedding just to help her not get grief from her monster-in-law. It'll still be pretty short, so that's okay. She's fine with that too, except she was worried I'll still have to deal with snide remarks from her fiancé's family. I reassured her that after nearly a decade with short hair I've pretty much heard it all. By the time we hung up I felt way better, not only about the wedding, but about our friendship. Comment 1. If she is that much of a pushover and is ashamed to mention it to one of her closest friends, then that personality trait likely also extends to her spouse. It is entirely possible that she hasn't mentioned it yet because she didn't feel that it is something he would need to know, and it is clear she didn't think about the wig thing as being a big ask, so it likely didn't take a lot of bullying to get her to act that way. That said, that is more easily fixable as the two of them continue to form a relationship and become closer together over time. Comment 2. Everybody in your nuclear family gets a 1-level demotion after you start your family. And that begins when you're engaged in cases like this. Parents are on the sibling level, siblings are down to cousin level, etc. Stick with your wingman/woman, and anyone who doesn't like that can pound sand. Now for the next story. Am I the idiot for making my sister leave my house after her joke about my son's mom leaving again? My son Jack is going to be 2 soon. His mom Annie has a complicated history and how this all happened. Her husband passed away, and 3 months after that, we slept together. We were barely friends at the time, so I didn't know until after our first night together that she'd recently become a widow. But she told me she was really lonely and just enjoyed that physical connection. So for about 8 months that's how it was, didn't see each other too often. Then we found out she was pregnant. She wanted to go through with the pregnancy, and I fully supported her if that was what she wanted. The thing was, she still had a lot of grief, and when my son was born it was hard for her to connect with him. She said she felt guilty having a baby with another man after losing her husband. By the time Jack was 4 months she hadn't gotten any better, and her mental health completely deteriorated. I took over with him full-time after this since she wasn't in the best place to be a mother. Annie still visited a few days out of the week for a short period, but I was doing most of the childcare while she went to therapy. Then she was in the hospital for a while. She couldn't come over much during COVID except for video chats, so she's essentially become a stranger to him. 3 months ago she started coming around more after not seeing him for a while. She's on antidepressants and therapies helped her a lot. Now she's more set on being a mom, and we're slowly reintroducing him to her. My sister hasn't been happy about this. I know she's upset on my behalf as I struggled a bit as a single parent. She knows the situation that happened with her but still thinks she shouldn't be allowed back into Jack's life after abandoning him. Anne.
Yeah.
I get her feelings, but since Annie's in a better place mentally, then I want to give a shot at Jack having a mom around. I still have my guard up obviously, and we're taking it one day at a time, but I see how different she is with him now. My sister hasn't stopped making comments no matter how many times I've told her to knock it off. She dropped by unannounced when Annie was here and was very openly hostile right in front of Jack. Annie offered to leave, and then my sister jokes, "Make sure you come back this time." I told her to leave and not come back until she can act right with the mother of my child. My sister is offended that I'm taking her side by kicking her out of my house since she's only angry on my behalf and it was a joke she made. That's why she thinks I'm an asshole. For me, I was thinking I'd rather get her out ASAP before saying something else in front of my son. Was I being an asshole? Update. Appreciate all the words and advice on my last post. There has been some new changes regarding the situation that happened before with my sister and Annie, so decided to leave a little update. Many of you were right about my sister's negativity possibly affecting the relationship between Annie and Jack. It's also reassuring to know that we were making the right call here. The last thing I wanted was to make Annie feel bad for things that were out of her control. At first, when I talked to my sister, we got nowhere. I even brought up what some of you said here. Would she feel the same if Annie had been in the hospital getting treatment for cancer or some other physical disease/illness? My sister claimed that's not the same thing, and we had to have a deeper conversation on why it is exactly the same thing. Annie was not in the right place mentally to be a fit parent and decided to get help. There was no need for her hostility towards Annie now that she's gotten the treatment she needs, and we're taking steps to bring her back into Jack's life. My sister and I still didn't see eye to eye, so that's when I made the decision that she wouldn't be allowed around us for a while and stuck with the same condition I made in my original post. We didn't talk for almost 2 months, then I guess my sister finally realized I wasn't gonna budge, so she agreed she'd be more nicer to Annie and won't talk badly about her in front of Jack. Thought this meant things would turn around, but unfortunately it didn't end that way. Even after giving her a second chance, she still couldn't hold back from sending a message to Annie, letting her know she's only doing this for me, but she will never be okay with her, called her a terrible mother, among others things. She was counting on Annie not to show me this since it would cost her son his aunt, like it said in her message. Oh, yeah, I was pissed. Another talk with her later, I decided she's not having any contact with us at all. As much as it pains me, I can't have that kind of negativity around my son or his mother. Their relationship has been rebuilding nicely, and this is a crucial time for all of us. We don't need the extra drama. On a positive note, Jack has really warmed up to his mom, and it's a beautiful sight to see. I'm happy Annie is getting somewhere with him, and they seem to be getting closer every day. So not all bad news, right? Thanks again, Reddit, for the help. You guys really helped ease my mind with this situation. Least don't feel like an asshole anymore for making the right choice. I'm in love with the mother of my child. We didn't start our relationship in the best way. She was looking for something physical, to forget about losing her husband. And it worked out great. She got pregnant 8 months after we started seeing each other, and then we agreed to work together as co-parents. PPD hit her very hard a few months after our son was born, on top of all the grief she still hadn't fully processed. And she had to be away for a while to get the help she needed. Especially when the lockdown happened. And for the past 8 months she's been the best mom to our 2-year-old boy. He loves her so much, and I'm happy with the progress they've made and to see her in such a better headspace. All the effort she put in to get healthy mentally so she can be a mom for our son. Took me a few months to realize I'm in love with her. I always wanted to be supportive through her struggles and be there as a friend/co-parent. She told me before that she's in love with me too. But for me, it doesn't feel like the right time yet. Or maybe I'm still scared to create a new change between us. She's been a wonderful full-time parent. The whole reason we wanted to wait on a relationship was so all our energy could be focused on her rebuilding a relationship with our son, which has been going great. A few times, like Christmas Eve, we've had a few moments where we almost kissed and we wanted to keep holding back to wait a little longer. It's starting to feel like torture. I love her very much, and I'm eager for the day I can fully express that. Update: I'm in love with the mother of my child. The history I have with my son's mother is a bit of a complicated one, have written posts on it, so there's more details. After her having to be away to get treated for PPD and PTSD, she's been back in our toddler's life for close to 10 months. He absolutely adores his mom. We were never an official couple at any point during this, but there were growing feelings for a long time. Last time I posted here was met with some positive feedback and decided to stop being afraid of taking things to the next step. Annie, my son's mom, admitted almost a year ago that she was in love with me. And for me, it didn't hit until months ago that I'm very much in love with her. With everything that happened, we still wanted to take things slow for our son's sake. I still decided to ask her out on a coffee date. And it was a very sweet time. Then in the car heading back to my place we kissed. What's crazy is we've kissed plenty of time before when we were only casually sleeping with each other, but this one felt like our first genuine kiss. She told me how much she loved me a few times. Made my heart pound like crazy. It's been over a month since then, and we've had several regular dates whenever we can leave our son with a sitter. It's still scary and new for us, so we just try to go at our own pace. She comes over every day to be with our son while I work until late evening so the three of us can have dinner together. The relationship she's building with my son always warms my heart. She struggled so much to try to be his mom, and to finally see them at a place where they are really bonding makes me very happy. And love her even more, TBH.